Chapter 5. 1. This is the record of the descendants of Adam. Chapter 5. 1. This is the Chapter 5. 1. This is the record of the descendants of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female. When they were created, he blessed them and named them man. Adam was 130 years old when he begot a son in his likeness, after his image, and he named him Seth. Adam lived 800 years after the birth of Seth, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Adam was 930 years. Then he died. When Seth was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh. Seth lived 807 years after the birth of Enosh, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Seth was 912 years. Then he died. When Enosh was 90 years old, he became the father of Kenan. Enosh lived 815 years after the birth of Kenan, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Enosh was 905 years. Then he died. When Kenan was 70 years old, he became the father of Mahalalel. Kenan lived 840 years after the birth of Mahalalel, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Kenan was 910 years. Then he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he became the father of Jared. Mahalalel lived 830 years after the birth of Jared, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Mahalalel was 895 years. Then he died. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enoch. Jared lived 800 years after the birth of Enoch, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Jared was 962 years. Then he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. Enoch lived 300 years after the birth of Methuselah, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Enoch was 365 years. 2. Then Enoch walked with God, and he was no longer here, for God took him. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he became the father of Lamech. Methuselah lived 782 years after the birth of Lamech, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Methuselah was 969 years. Then he died. When Lamech was 182 years old, he begot a son, 3, and named him Noah, saying, Out of the very ground that the Lord has put under a curse, this one shall bring us relief from our work and the toil of our hands. Lamech lived 595 years after the birth of Noah, and he had other sons and daughters. The whole lifetime of Lamech was 777 years. Then he died. 32. When Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. 132. Although this chapter, with its highly schematic form, belongs to the relatively late priestly document, it is based on very ancient traditions. Together with Genesis 11:10-26, its primary purpose is to bridge the genealogical gap between Adam and Abraham. Adam's line is traced through Seth, but several names in the series are the same as, or similar to, certain names in Cain's line. Genesis 4:17-19. The long lifespans attributed to these 10 antediluvian patriarchs have a symbolic rather than a historical value. Babylonian tradition also recorded 10 kings with fantastically high ages who reigned successively before the flood. 2. In place of the usual formula, then he died. The change to Enoch walked with God clearly implies that he did not die, but like Elijah, 2 Kings 2:11-12. Was taken alive to God's abode. 3. There is a similarity in sound between the Hebrew word Noah, and the verbal phrase Yenahaminu, he will bring us relief. This latter refers both to the curse put on the soil because of the fall of man, Genesis 3:17-19, and to Noah's success in agriculture, especially in raising grapes for wine, Genesis 9:20-21. Previous. Next.